everyone, it's Jill Foster here with your next PB&J card class. And today's card class I will be featuring some painted and inked and layered creative dies. And here's a look at the card design that we'll be creating today. And this card here is the particular card that I'll be showing in the video, but all the others use the same design. I'm featuring our new creative die Koi along with Polaroid and dancing leaves. So to begin, I'm going to paint the creative die Koi, and I'm using the Shimmers paints. And these you just open them up and give them a stir. I use the back of my paintbrush and they're ready to go. And these have a really beautiful glittery finish. So I wanted to give this die cut some extra dimension, and I'm doing that here with these paints. And the color that I'm using on this one is the magenta and Berrylicious. So I'm beginning with the magenta, and you can see that beautiful shimmer and texture, and I'll show you another close-up of that too. And then while that's still wet, I'll go in with the Berrylicious just to add some additional shading, and I'll put that around the outside edge of the creative die. And I wanted the darker color to be on the outside edge. Since I'm doing a lot of layers, I thought this would help define this flower and make it the focal point. So I'm just adding that right on. And then I'll go back with just water on my brush and pounce that where the two colors meet in order to help those blend. And here's just a little peek on the finished card where you can see the beautiful shimmer and texture you get from those paints. To paint the leaves, I'm going to use the green olive shimmers, and I'm just painting that on as a single layer down the stem and the leaves. And this also has that glittery finish and adds the texture to the stem and the leaves of the flower. And I went ahead and let that dry, and then I'll be using a different Shimmers paint for the additional leaves. This is an aqua hues, and it's the color of seaweed. This is a non-shimmering paint, and I wanted these leaves to recede more into the background, and that's why I chose this particular paint. It's a little bit lighter and it doesn't have that textural finish. And I will also use this to go over the leaves here just to tie in that olive color into both sets of leaves so that they pair up well. So you can paint this right on top of the shimmering paint too. Now this is the inner portion of our creative die Polaroid, and I'm going to apply distress inks to this. And the first color I'm using is Mustard Seed, and I'm just applying this with an ink blending tool with a foam pad. I start off the edge and work on with a circular motion, and then I'm going to go in with Wild Honey and just add that around the outer edges and then a little bit more on two opposite corners. So for all of the edges, I'll hold it up in my hand and ink them, and then those two corners I'll put it back down and work off the edge and onto it so that I get a smooth finish. And to ink the actual outer portion of the Polaroid die cut, I'm using the Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I'm just dabbing that on while holding that. Now I die cut the flower and the leaves using watercolor paper so that they had a little bit more thickness and could take the wetness of the paints. But this die cut I wanted to have a nice smooth finish, so this was cut from Neenah Solar White cardstock. And you'll see at the end of the video I will be inking up some textured cardstock for the background. So by mixing up the different textures and weights of paper, it adds a finished look to the card without additional elements. So it's clean and simple, but it does look finished. Now to just fill in these little holes that are left on the die, I just colored a little piece of scrap paper with a black marker, and I'm just gluing that behind the flower. And here's that textured cardstock that I mentioned. I want this to have the same color as the center of the Polaroid, but just be a lighter version. So I'm starting with the Mustard Seed, and I'm just not applying as much pressure as I put the ink to the paper with the ink blending tool. And I'm just comparing there to make sure it's matching up. And after doing that, I decided I also wanted to put the Wild Honey very lightly over the top of the Mustard Seed. And I just layered all of these elements onto a note card embellished with sequins and a pearl and some twine. And here's a look at that finished card. And I really enjoyed this design, so I went ahead and created a couple others using different color variations, but all of the same elements. And there are those two cards. I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. You can also connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter, and as well as our website, which will all be linked in the description box below. And here's a complete list of all the supplies used in today's video.